Hey everybody, before we get going, I have some context. I started writing this script in early 2021, and I'm recording this in the middle of 2022. In the last year, Moron Police has released more music that will not be mentioned here for the purpose of containing the scope of this video. It's already... Geez, how long is that thing? There was also the sad news that Thor Peterson, drummer and beloved member of Moron Police, died as the result of a car accident in January 2022. He will be missed as a musician and as a person, taken far too early. So there was a time when making music was even more expensive than it is now. You had to either rent or own studio space, microphones, mixers, preamps, and more. It's like how computers used to take an entire room of expensive gear, but today, with a USB input box, a mic, and a computer, there it is, you can record a blockbuster movie soundtrack in your house. Home recording, to oversimplify, started with Lester William Paulsfuss, or Les Paul, the guitar name guy. You know, remember when you bought Guitar Hero 2 and it came with the Les Paul shaped guitar body? Yeah, he's considered to be the godfather of overdub recording. Overdubbing is when you record some music and then play back what you just recorded and record something else on top of it.
There is a widespread belief that they use this electronic machine that is about as simple as a cyclotron. And we have a model here just to show you what this popular conception is of their music.
This, for instance, here, that cuts off the 600 ohm line. This is frequency control here, and this high and low pass filter. And you have to have a tweeter and woofer speaker to hear it played back. And if you got a cinema futzer, of course, you can raise and lower each end and do anything you want with it.
Well, let's see what comes out.
Well, it's just about ready.
As long as there isn't smoke.
No.
Like I do it all the time. I'll sing a vocal line, and then I will sing my own harmony to my own vocal line that I just sang.
They are ringing out the glory of the land.
This is a fake, this whole thing.
You asked for
Yes, it is.
Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final demolition of this popular and ignorant rumor that the basis of Les Paul and Mary Ford's music is electronics. They make music the way people have made music since the world began. You can record one part of a song, and then you can play it back to yourself. And then you can accompany that part and keep on recording.
It's the difference between recording 3 guitarists and recording one guitarist 3 times playing 3 different lines.
Now you put your earphones on and you play another part to it. Is that
That's
right?
Got it?
I get the idea now of the background. That's the background, right?
That's the background.
You play all this to Mary, is that right? Or does she do it separately?
Well, Mary will hear the part that's already made, and then she sings onto it.
I see.
First
I'll
we'll
make the first part first.
Okay, fine.
All set, Mary?
Give me a G chord.
All right.
Somewhere there's music, how faint the tune. Somewhere there's heaven, how high the moon. Now I'll add a tenor part to that.
All right.
Wait a minute. You're on.
Okay. Somewhere there's music, how faint the tune. Somewhere there's heaven, how high the moon. Somewhere there's music, how faint the tune. Where there's heaven, how high the moon. There is no moon above, love is far away too. Till it comes true that you love me, I love you. Where there's...
Let me tell you, it's messed up when somebody who pioneers a technique sets the bar this high because, Jesus, what he was doing with tape and 4 channels, I can barely do with automatic quantization, pre-timed clip tracks, a grid, digital recording technology. Like, you know that anecdote about how there's 1,000,000 times the computing power within your cell phone as they had to do the moon landing? Yeah, that's like me and Les Paul. How did you do this so clean in the 1950s? Also, in this one, he was recovering from a shattered right elbow. Yeah, he had the doctor fuse his elbow at a 90-degree angle so he could still play guitar. And while he was bedridden and thinking his entire career was over at the age of 33, he kept recording and making up new recording techniques. He had an album out the next year. Why is Les Paul's name so famous and enduring, even though most people can't name a single song of his? Because he's a god among men, and you peons aren't fit to kiss his ass. Les Paul made overdub recording a standard audio technique so common it feels weird to even talk about. Like, it's like pointing out reverb, which he also invented. He also invented delay, echo. Les Paul was like the 50s Thomas Dolby. Look him up. And then look up Thomas Dolby. Anyway, you're gonna see me overdub a bunch of vocals in this video because that's just standard practice in music now. Moron Police uses a lot of overdub too. Butt rock. Can we talk about butt rock? The term comes from radio stations around the turn of the 21st century that claimed to play nothing but rock. And then you'd hear a song by Hinder or Trapped once every 10 commercials. Butt rock is a malign genre due to usually shallow lyrics.
Hey, y'all crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it.
Uninteresting song and chord structures.
100 days have made me older since the last time that I saw your pretty face.
And like the inescapable reek of a corporation pushing out a rock-shaped product to maximize profits in the 15 to 35 demographic or whatever.
This is how you remind me of what I really am.
What if butt rock was good? What if a band took bits of the sonic landscape that made butt rock, chud rock, like made it what it is and refined it? Or, you know, at least did something cool with it. Moron Police's first album is called The Propaganda Machine. And after an orchestral opening, it gets right down to business. Join me at track 3. Who's That Chicken is where I begin my thesis of beautiful butt rock. Rock made by beautiful butts. The midsection of this song sounds like the best parts of Stained. Major chords used to express despair, sustained driven guitars holding up 3-part vocal harmony, the tools of butt rock being used to express a message about the contradictions in mental health care and the assumption that every human is meant to be neurotypical.
They say my mind is free. How do you make a blind man see? I am all I can be, but I am only me. I've gained sincerity. Oh man, I lack a tranquility. They rape me shallow. Deny me sanity.
How do you make a blind man see? I am all that I can be, but I am only me. Let's go to rehab, where they put the sane inside a hole. This is criticism. Let's get filled up with happy pills until we act normal enough to be considered worthy of dignity. Propaganda Machine, it's fine. I like it. It has all of the ingredients, the seeds that would grow into a bountiful harvest. Just one album later. Let's look at a couple more of these seeds, or whatever my metaphor is at this point. Omnivorous Sexosaurus is both a preview of the synth becoming a more important part of the songwriting, and mostly nonsense words. Meaningless lyrics are cool. I like them from time to time. Think you're bad at writing lyrics? Dude, you don't even have to write words to do lyrics. While not going as far as Mr. Bungle or other experimental groups, Moron Police has multiple songs with meaningless lyrics. Sometimes it's sounds, phrases that don't mean anything in particular. Sometimes you're writing vocals and have a clear idea of like the vowels you want. and like kind of where they go rhythmically and like what emphasis you want on each one, you might choose to use the Bill Wirtz School of Lyrics.
And I'm going to the land of the two-letter words. On and up at four, so by a two of no it. It's a feeling we can't forget. So hello and good night.
These songs definitely have meaning, by the way. It's just a different style of poetry. Not every movie has a linear narrative. Not every drawing has a subject. This is like lyrical cubism or something. I don't know. I'm not that smart. But it's how you end up with Mount St. Helens.
Take a ride on my blimp. Oh, it's a very strong blimp. You can watch movies and play games while riding on it. When the sun goes down and the sky burns out, we'll never slow down.
By the way, I could do an entire one of these videos on Bill Wirtz. His music is amazing, but everybody already knows, and that is good. Back to Moron Police. Remember the synth line I mentioned in Omnivorous Sexosaurus? I can't decide if it's closer to Hit That by The Offspring or Life During Wartime by Talking Heads. Leave your opinion in the comments. Then we get Defenders of the Small Yard. Teabag Your Grandma is the first song I ever heard by Moron Police, and it was a little revelation. I've been feeling jaded about music and creativity in general. It seems like the more our interactions are mediated by algorithms, the more influence the owners of those algorithms have over our culture, which leads to like a gray melange of whatever Spotify thinks will get you to stay on the platform the longest. Moron Police is never going to be spammed on Top 40 radio. They are not Mr. Worldwide or put on the Grammys, etc. Like, here it is though. I'm listening to an indie song ostensibly about balls in your mouth. Even in Teabag Your Grandma, we can hear the light shining between the balls. This ascending bass line that facilitates all these nice chords, like, it hints at a harmonic development between albums that is only hitting its middle phase at this point. The beauty in the butt rock. Tale as old as time. The lyrics are vulnerable while also being in your face at the same time. The next song, It's Not Cool, takes the lyrics further with strong themes of anti-war still framed within comedy.
So hello, Mayday. It takes cash to be the best, and somewhere around the hillsides, casino eat lies to say we're better than the rest. Cool to some babies from the school, some babies from the day that just too fast and they die. You gotta wait a while longer before you put them in school, 'cause babies dying ain't cool.
Also, at 1 minute and 30 seconds, we get the Winnie the Pooh theme. As a person whose career is based on a song about penis, I see the value in this, like the comedy to lure people in, and then boom, substance when you dig even a little bit deeper. Grand Theft Bovine fucks me up, y'all. The banks they're bailing, the rich keep sailing, Fox News lying, economy still dying, some got trucking, healthcare sucking, vote for change, then change your mind. Holy cow, they think they're holier than thou. These mothers that lay no eggs. The Sasquatch needs no friends in Congress down to the Wall Street and all of the banks. These fathers that poach your eggs have lost their legs.
Change hats, 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 gonna be change hats. Hair. You see why I wear hats?
The setup for the chorus of this song goes full on 4-chord. You know this progression from a dozen songs, but Africa by Toto is a great example here. I bless the rains, da, da, da.
The banks they're bailing, the rich keep sailing, Fox News lying, economy still dying. The banks they're failing, the rich keep sailing, Fox News lying, economy still dying.
Moron Police uses these chords almost as if to lull you into a false sense of pop song security. And then the actual chorus, the harmonic rhythm slows down. Instead of a new chord every 4 beats, now it's twice as long. A new chord every 8 beats. 4 gets to sit and breathe for a second, just in time for a huge vocal chord. Holy cow! And I'm already tearing up.
Holy cow, they think they're holier than thou.
The melody hits and holds the major 7 of that 4 chord, which gives it a, jazz space? Like we got pulled out of the rock metal continuum and have a moment of clarity. Next, that 4 becomes a minor 4, and the vocals hammer on the minor 7. Like, you took that half-step movement of the 3rd from the major 3rd to the minor 3rd, and then also from the major 7 to the minor 7, so you get this, like, these 2 notes stay the same, these 2 notes shift down 1. It's good.
Holy cow, they think they're holier than thou. From holy to holy, like a half-step movement in the vocals. Holy cow, they think they're holier than thou. Holy cow, they think they're holier than thou. These mothers that lay no eggs, the Sasquatch did no friends, and Congress down to Wall Street and all of the banks.
All the while, the other instruments are doing upward arpeggios and scales, adding to the floating timelessness of the chorus. Then the harmonic rhythm increases, back to a new chord every 4 beats, and a quick turn at the end, the progression where it's every 2 beats. At first, I was going to compare this to classical music, and the kind of idea development here wouldn't be out of place in an orchestral composition from the 1800s, but I think a more apt comparison would be modern anime themes.
For everyone that's lost vision, maybe you can be what you want to be. You look or recognize me, the kind and love.
Grand Theft Bovine feels like a declaration mid-album, not only one of political intent, but that we're officially entering big boy chord territory. Of course, I like a song about the US's political system being comically inept at helping anyone but the very rich. This was 2014 when this was written, so the line, "Vote for change, then change your mind," hits me. Remember when Obama had a supermajority and did nothing with it, which pissed off enough people that they voted for the worst con man we've ever seen? Well, you don't have to remember, because we got Biden over here playing the greatest hits. Oh, then I go to a clip of Obama saying he's going to sign abortion into federal law on day 1.
What would you do at the federal level, not only to ensure access to abortion, but to make sure that the judicial nominees that you will inevitably be able to pick are true to the core tenets of Roe v. Wade?
Well, the first thing I'd do as president is sign the Freedom of Choice Act. That's the first thing that I'd do.
That didn't happen. I can't glaze over my favorite line in the song. These mothers that lay no eggs, because wow, is it a good metaphor in describing our political rulers, being told right after lyrical acknowledgement of the rich keep sailing while economy still dying and healthcare sucking. Like, the target is identified. Our rulers claim to work in our best interest. They're our mothers and fathers, since their authority cannot be effectively challenged, and we are forced to live with whatever actions they take while in power. But they are false parents. They do not have our best interest at heart. They lay no eggs. They take and take while producing nothing, either literally or figuratively, in the form of effective legislation, all while fighting over abstract issues that only serve as wedges between us working poors. Sasquatch needs no friends in Congress. Keep them fighting over whether or not Bimmy and Jimmy over here should be allowed to get married, to distract from the fact that both of them are destitute, working 60 hours a week in the richest nation mankind has ever known. I wonder if these themes will be explored further in later albums. Yeah, look at me. Look at these scripts. You think I write these scripts lightly? 9,000 words. Next song.
All right, this riff's not so hard. Let's break it down. Not even close. Okay. You see, I've come up with the answer here. I know the solution. You go to Customize Bar and Display. Go to Custom. Then you're going to make sure Verispeed is checked. Then you're gonna type in -50. I can't play at half speed. Then you're gonna simply deselect their speed. Yeah, I played that. I did that.
I'm gonna have to take my shoe off and throw it, because how? How can some indie band sound this clean and write shit this good? If you want metal hooks, this song is about 4 different ones. One of which is played on folk instruments. There's a fucking goofy MIDI bassoon in there. Lyrically, this is a good halfway point between mouth sounds that work in the moment and specific intended meaning. None of my read works if this isn't about Steve Jobs, but hey, the landlord, the sugar daddy, who designed your bubble. I take it as a bittersweet look at tech fandom and the fact that we all do indeed die someday. Maybe if written today it'd be about Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Wait, isn't this the same album that was talking about teabagging your grandma? Preposterous. You can't tell me this isn't inspired by Squeeze Me Macaroni by Mr. Bungle. Genre conversations in current year feel different. I understand the benefits of categorizing art and pointing out similarities in style and approach. The problem is, very few bands are purely like, genre. One can push the musical envelope with virtuosity, experimental techniques, using unconventional instruments, and by blending genres. Mr. Bungle isn't my favorite band because they're weird. It's their willingness to stick in a bit of jazz, folk, disco, whatever. It ends up feeling more like music made for its own sake, rather than contractually obligated pieces of content. Beyond that, it's just good pacing. I like metal and heavy guitars as much as anyone, but they can lose their effectiveness as you get desensitized. The harder acts I enjoy all use their brute force strategically. And that's not to take away from the genre. The softer, more toe-tappy segments make the angry segments hit much harder. Contrasting genres, contrasting levels of aggression. It's good stuff, people. Anyway, the music is great here. Heck, it slaps into a whole new song around 1:30, and we hit an 80s power theme? The song sounds like Mega Man to me, and I don't know what that means. Maybe a power slide is setting off that part of my brain. And if things go bad, I got my power sliding, hell my gloom, and I feel alright. I just want to play this whole album at everyone. Let me lightning round some songs for the sake of time. Another song about California. California not actually being glamorous is a well-trodden road. Well-trodden? Well-trod? What the fuck is that word? Trodden? Let's look it up. Okay. That's fine. Past participle. I'm allowed to do trodden. California not actually being glamorous is a well-trodden road, but this one, to me at least, kind of goes full circle and is like a bittersweet endorsement. Well, not endorsement, resignation to the fact that you're self-medicating and hoping for good things while not having control over your own fate. So let's move to California. F it. Except we can't actually afford to move to California. So here's this song, Let's Smoke. Soul Train of the Damned. Solid jam with a cool walking bass line. Fun times, and I'm not going to read too deeply into it. Like, it is funnier if you remember that Soul Train was a 70s TV show, and the song mentions a disco ball and says out of sight. So, like, is this supposed to be like Soul Train, but also a ghost train? Like, it's a ghost disco zombie train? Like, because that'd be awesome. Go home, bitch. We're adding woodwinds and riding a kind of like stray cat strut beat. God, I love the triplets that bust in around the minute mark, and the chords at a minute 30. Oh, a straight up circle of fifths chord progression becomes romantic, as in like Beethoven romantic period, because of where the bass notes are placed, like A+ leading tones. About a minute 55 sounds like straight up well-tempered clavichord shit. These breaks are what elevates Moron Police from a rando comedy band. I can feel how many shits were given on this song. Cabo. It's a song about Arrested Development, like the show, as in every line of the song is a reference to the television comedy Arrested Development. I 100% believe that the line was, "Fill the dragon's anus." Well, it turns out it's "Shoot me, dragon, anus tart." So, like, I wasn't that far off. It sounds seafaring and I love it. Solid. Stomp That Goomba. They used a Bit Crush filter on the guitar and I love it. This one might be my favorite song on the album. It's definitely the one I played over and over the most on first hearing it. It's pure fun and has some killer riffs. What else can I say besides roll that motherfucking blunt up, then smoke, think about the stuff we could do, I don't wanna be like you. Roll that motherfucking blunt up, then smoke, think about the stuff we could do, I don't wanna be like you. No joke, I spent at least 15 minutes practicing that fast talk section so I could sing along. Then you get the bridge, which is straight up beautiful, literally about the tragedy of dying young. Then sadly optimistic, we should set our sights on what could be. I like it, it's good times. All right, so up till now I've been talking about all these pieces, elements of Moron Police's music that I think are worthwhile, that make me happy. They develop their ideas, combine genres and techniques you wouldn't expect to find in the same song, and their lyrics are deeper than, yeah, 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 babe, I wanna bang you, yeah, yeah, yeah. These first two albums, Defender of the Small Yard especially, are good fun, and I think you should listen to them if you're a fan of less than mainstream music. Some of the songs are skippable, and not all of them have the same spark that Who's That Chicken and Grand Theft Bovine have. A Boat on the Sea is an album that makes me cry. It takes those pieces and fits them together with a consistency of quality and creativity that takes my breath away. The single of the album is The Phantom Below, and I ran away 30 seconds into the first time I heard it. I heard the synths and the drum machine, and I'm like, oh no, they're a totally different band now. I'm gonna go back to their old material instead. I never want to be the person that suggests an artist shouldn't change simply because I like what they've already done. Artists should develop and grow, but we all have the right to our preferences, and it seemed like Moron Police was moving away from my preferences. Then I actually listened. Let me sell you on this thing. It's only 8 tracks. There's no like prog faffery or 35-minute meandering solos. The album is a cycle where the last song neatly flows into the first song. Heavy anti-imperialist themes, not just anti-war, but anti-imperialist themes. It's funny as hell. It's just as funny as it is intense, and the whole range is beautiful and like 6. It shreds, dude. It just kicks a lot of ass. Let's get right into the album I'm talking about. Hocus Pocus starts out with snare clops and a shaker, piano, and bass. This is a gentler Moron Police musically. Oh, I just can't put into words how this opener hits you. Like, once you're familiar with the rest of the album, the thing rewards you for multiple listen-throughs. It's some composition 101 level stuff, but the use of leitmotif is always a good idea. I wrote almost always in this script I'm reading off of, but no, F that. Use of leitmotifs, use of motifs in general, is always a good idea. The human brain likes patterns. Heck, that's why we like music in the first place. Like, it's the organization of noise into patterns. Chords are familiar ratios processed by our ears and brain like faster than we can even realize it's happening. Take a pattern and present it in a different context a few times, and you're engaging in musical storytelling. You're developing a musical idea and creating a leitmotif. That's why everybody loses their mind over Toby Fox's soundtracks, and deservedly so. Toby and Moron Police sprinkle repeated melodies, rhythmic figures, and chords throughout a project, and more importantly, they tie meaning to them, which is the difference between a LEET motif and just a plain old repetition, or just like a regular motif. LEET motif, heavy motif. It's too heavy. I can't hold it. 1,000 different people have made videos on this subject, and I'm going to link one below if you want to learn more about LEET motifs, so you can feel fancy about yourself. You'll listen to a movie soundtrack, and you'll turn to your friend and say, "Hey, that's a LEET motif." That's how I met my wife. I said, "Honey, that's a LEET motif." And she's like, "Let me suck that dick." The LEET motifs in Boat on a Sea aren't quite as obvious as like Hero Theme or Jim's Bars theme, but like they're there. The second half of Hocus Pocus is what I think of as the cycle continues theme. It's in the first track with piano at a moderate tempo, and again in the last track with a beefed up arrangement, but we'll get there in due time. The point is, when I get to the 44-second mark, this whole goddamn album pours into my mind at once, and I'm blanking back emotion. Lyrics. There are only 7 lines in the song, and they're all great. Starts off talking of gods and the city of the sun, and you're thinking, fantasy epic, like yes, I have listened to prog music before. Let's get ready to party like it's 2112, baby, until the last lines. And it becomes obvious. This is about asymmetrical warfare. This is about imperialism. This is real. Researching this video, I learned that Hocus Pocus is a Kurt Vonnegut book. Like, this is relevant. The line about B-52s refers to a line in the book about how bomber pilots never see the destruction they leave. Bombs are dropped from on high. Without the droppers of the, like the literal person pressing the buttons, like it's not that like American Air Force pilots just decide, you know what, I'm gonna bomb X country today. But you know, the literal person who's pressing the bomb does not see the destruction that they drop, and the people who ordered them to go fly that mission to drop the bombs definitely does not see the destruction that is left by their own decisions. The Phantom Below. The songwriting here is god tier. Let's count how many major sections this song has. How many discrete parts were made to fit together? 1. Opening fiddle pattern. 2. Dance break that opens into the main jam. 3. Guitar melodic theme introduced. 4. Sonic the Hedgehog. The pre-verse runaway thing. 5. Verse.
I am a stranger, a mediator of sorts, of heaven and hell and ruin. I am all of this and more.
Check that bendy ass bass. 6. Diminished chord zone interlude.
Do you not know me? Do you not know who I am? You draw your lines up in the sand.
Then you repeat 5 and 6. Repeat 2 with a slight variation. 7. Opera chorus. These chords drive me insane. Like, they'd fit right in with Puccini. What the fuck is the drum set doing? So you get this, so I am lost without you. And you expect the drums to be going, but they're not. They're going, it's fucked up. Listen. I would never think to write a drum line like that, and it fits in so well, I had to stop and talk about it. 8. Wind up and end. Like, that's at least 7 different musical sections, and I could argue it's 9. Most songs have 3. Lyrics. Knowing that this album is intended to be read into. I read plenty into it, so get ready for some effing interpretations. I did an interview with Sandra, Moron Police's driving force and main writer. How are you doing, Sandra? And how is my pronunciation? Is that any better than usual?
No. Damn, it's more French than anything, but I'm not French. But it's fine. It's better than most Americans.
And we talked about what I took from the songs versus what he takes from the songs. And while I'm not going to ignore authorial intent completely, this is my take on the album, and yours may differ. I got two ways I can read this. The circuitry line can be taken literally, making this a song from the perspective of a machine, or metaphorically, keeping it from a human perspective. If we assume human, it's the working class, your average Joe. I've given all my life for this. I've paved this rotten way. The actual work is done by the workers. In exchange for continued existence, we are made to build the very system that oppresses us. Then the owning class recoils at our very sight. Do not fear my circuitry. 'Twas you who made me slave. Do you not know me? Do you not know who I am? Backed by big diminished chords, it has venom to it. I'm the one who makes the heaps of riches you rest upon, and you don't fucking know who I am. Now, if we're talking actual circuitry, you gave me power so I could bring you war. This could be from the perspective of a drone. Given all its life for this, pave this rotten way, I am what they choose.
It goes to the worker thing, right? An automated computer doesn't care if it works 5 hours or it works 48 hours in a stretch, but a human does. So technology sort of gets a bad rap. It goes back to the Luddites, right? But the thing is that, like, I can be the heart that brings peace to yours. It's like our relationship with technology could bring us peace, really, but instead it's just brings us war, right? And well, it brings us good things as well, but they're mostly from a capitalist point of view.
That I am what they choose line is really important. It's critical to the machine reading. It's saying that the tools man creates can be used however we want. They're tools. The mere existence of weapons does not cause war any more than the existence of scissors causes cut up bits of paper. The issue becomes who has the agency to use the tools? Who gets to make those decisions? Now let me get back into my, commie reading. Here's the whole chorus. Please don't take down my YouTube video, YouTube. And I am lost without you, yet you have walked these roads before, and must it always come to this? To sell democracy for simple bliss, they seem to all want more, but I could be the heart that brings peace to yours. Firstly, it expresses the general sentiment of the working class towards the gods of capital. I am lost without you, yet you have walked these roads before. We are lost without them. They know that they have the resources that we need, the resources that they hoard. Then it proposes change. Must it always come to this, selling us out so you can have more stuff and comfort? Then the best line, the balm for this unequal relationship, for this master-slave relationship, for this abusive and exploitative relationship. It's the working class itself. We aren't even talking about defeat or violence towards them, simply peace. Simply flipping this relationship would not be the answer. For the oppressed to become the oppressor isn't a net gain. But peace is. Peace comes from the elimination of class. Peace comes with this chord. And again, it's the vocals that are driving these cool chord changes. And I could be the heart that brings peace to yours. Peace. Going from the seventh of the chord to the sixth, so you get that D minor 6 that finally resolves to that nice if it wasn't for the crunkiness of the breathe. Yeah, it's like a sigh of relief. Word painting. The lyrics say, I could be the heart that brings peace to yours, and then the music itself goes from dissonance to consonance, from a crunchy chord to a nice resting spot of a chord. The song could end here. But saxophone... All right, now I'm into Invisible King again.
Whoa, life is a sweet life, baby. We're going up or going down, whatever you prefer. Whoa, life is a sweet life, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Give me some warning, Moron Police. Awesome a cappella opener. Then the song starts with an ending. I'm not sure if it's the chunky finality of the chords or the stillness of the guitar melody, which is the chorus for The Undersea, which is coming up in 4 songs or so. But it feels like a closing statement. Then we got a Red Scare and warmongering newsreels after the first verse. Everything that repeats has some kind of variation in it. Love the walking bass on the last chorus. This is yet more beautiful but rock. Though that label only really applies to the chorus of this song, like a turnip sliding into a bowl of mash, by Moron Police's 3rd album, the butt rock has seamlessly blended into their sound. Smooth. The lyrics are clearly anti-war on both the micro and macro level. Getting paid for getting laid straight into the ground? It's a line from a soldier's perspective, and yes, a certain segment of the working class is sent out to be cannon fodder, but hey, at least we pay them and tell them we're going to give them free college and tell them we're going to give them health care after the fact. It even slips in a don't ask, don't tell reference, talking about sin and how your love is not allowed. Cool. I can't decide what the Invisible King symbolizes. Are they the president? Are they a general, like the vague idea of freedom that soldiers are given to fight for? Maybe all of that. In our interview, Sandra told me that I was ignoring an important element in my readings, religion and its societal impact. So, like, what do you think of all that?
Yeah, it's you're not that far off, really. There's a lot of this you're hitting the nail on the head on a lot of things, but you're forgetting sort of the well, you're not forgetting, but there's a spiritual aspect to the whole thing as well. Not religious, but there's sort of the spirit of man thing that goes through it.
What people believe and how they choose to live based off that is their business. When faith is used as a tool of control or as an excuse to restrict the freedom of some groups over the others, well, that's bad. Depending on your philosophy and how you view the world, you might see religion as the ideological glue holding various systems of oppression together. And in some cases, I might even agree with that. I mean, gosh darn, my boy Marx wrote about this. I think in current year, our oppression is based on economics first, with religion being used to kind of like dull the edges and serve as the why some people live in squalor while others live like kings. I don't think religion is irrelevant to the topic, but I see it as window dressing to the true evil, which is the capitalist mode of production. Does organized religion do the oppression, or does it just make us okay with the oppression? Anyway, the development that goes on here and how you'll take an idea and take it through various permutations and just take the same melody and then change the chords around it. So between Grand Theft Boatvine and Beware the Blue Skies, like what are the relationship of those two songs? Because it sounds like a sequel. Like it sounds like you wrote the song kind of again but differently.
I really didn't, but I've been I didn't think about that at all. But when people started like telling me that, I was like, yeah, I guess like the verses at least and sort of the structure is the same, but it's also sort of how I guess sometimes that's how I write music. It seems natural to do these things for me. But actually there wasn't really a connection. But now I usually just say, yeah, it was intentional.
Freaking the second I was amped because I'm like, holy shit, I've heard the freaking from the bass time continue and the freaking took a ride on the blue sky. I'm like, this is it. This is something. This means something. This is important.
This is deep. I mean, it might have been. I can't remember when I wrote it. Like, because I don't really remember much from writing stuff. So there might have been a thought. Yeah. But it's not supposed to be a sort of a sequel, but it has the same feel. I remember feeling that it has sort of the same, energy.
Let me show you what I was talking about there.
Stole a cow from the space-time continuum with no hair and legs. And it could fly through the sky like a hurricane, but suddenly we fell like lead. I hear them step from the blue sky, Nagasaki like the 4th of July. I watch them
This is absolutely not me calling Sondra a repetitive songwriter. The similarities and differences are such that they evoke one another without being like the same song. This is the kind of thing I've done before, where you use part or all of a melody from one song, but change the lyrics and some of the rhythms, and boom, you're an artistic genius using recapitulation. Since Grand Theft Bovine explicitly names Republicans, so we think about like United States politics, it seems even more likely to be intentional, since Beware the Blue Skies is also about like literal historic events and the politics driving them. Here comes the freedom-loving US dropping an atomic bomb on Japan because 1, we want to test the bomb, and 2, it's more cost-effective than a drawn-out Pacific conflict. Robot Eagle on a flat screen, a 14-year-old learning to fly. I can read this two ways. It's either a young U.S. military recruit learning to pilot a drone, and no, I don't think the U.S. military uses literal 14-year-olds. That'd be a little whack at the moment. You gotta wait 4 more years to kill people indiscriminately legally. Or they are a young, recent victim of a bombing campaign who's learning how to retaliate. Blow them up. It's the sound of freedom forming in their minds. How every new capitalist-inspired bombing campaign from the US makes more and more terrorists or like victims of imperialism who will inevitably try and remove the US from their homeland, the occupying US from their homeland, which gives the US a new enemy to bomb, again and again and again. This album is a circle. While not the intended subject of this song, it makes me think about the US aggression towards Vietnam, in which more bombs were dropped on Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia than were dropped by all sides of World War II, like combined. Like US, Germany, Japan, everyone. Add all of those bombs up, and pound for pound, it is fewer explosives than were dropped during the Vietnam conflict. The extreme oppression the Vietnamese faced at the hands of France, the US, China, pretty much everybody but the Soviet Union, radicalized huge chunks of the population, eventually leading to a successful people's revolution thanks to the leadership of Ho Chi Minh. The bombs were the sound of freedom forming in their minds. Actual freedom. Freedom from colonization, freedom from various imperialist forces determining the future of Vietnam, rather than the Vietnamese determining the future of Vietnam. Quotes that sound messed up out of context. So Vietnam shows like a best case scenario when it comes to bombing a country into the Stone Age. Look at them. You can go there. Like right now. 2022, you could just go to Vietnam. It's fine. You see, all their buildings are shiny and new because the French wanted their resources and labor so bad that they had the United States level the entire country. But anyway, the song, I think, is talking about conflicts in the Middle East. The places we drone strike the most. The West, led militarily by the United States in collaboration with the EU and London, want their resources. It's easier to extract those resources without organized resistance from the locals. So better keep drone striking weddings and hospitals until freedom happens. Freedom takes hold. Beware the Blue Skies even references the US picking rebel groups to support, train, arm, and send to die fighting in a conflict created by the US's own destabilizing bombing campaigns. The song owns. Then we get our first explicit mention of Norway, the country that this band is from. And it's damning of the Norwegian government for acting as friend to one and all, while being perfectly happy to help the US however possible with the aforementioned bullshit wars.
And hooray, here comes Norway, friend to one and all. We don't sell guns, we just provide a little service. Hey, that's all. We're the ambassadors of peace and kindness, with the warlords stealing death and violence in a cabaret. We get friends with the USA.
The Nordic model requires a so-called third world to export suffering to. Just like the US, Norway has their own bourgeois class. They're just legally required to pay their domestic workers a little bit more than our bourgeois in the US is required to pay their workers. The workers in the Congo that they employ? Yeah, not so much. Those rules don't seem to apply. Sure, if you are a Norwegian working in Norway for a Norse company, probably have relatively decent worker protections. If you are a Congolese person working for that same Norwegian company or American company or English company, etc., conveniently, those labor laws are much more lax and they can extract more labor value from you for far less money on their part. Not everything has to be meta, and sometimes music can just be music, but the idea that the art I consume is like going somewhere is appealing to me. By that I mean the development from the first to third album in style, genre tendencies, poetry, and even ideology is cool. I mean, the alternative would be for your art to stay in park, and I don't like see the point in that. This makes me excited for whatever comes after Boat in the Sea, which is an EP that is already out. I just want to keep this video under 2 hours. Next track, The Dog Song. The song is kind of the outlier in the album, but also not. Let me explain. The theming of a boat on the sea is very strong, and every track contributes to those themes. Yet here we have a song explicitly about Sondre's late dog. How do you fit a song like this in without it being like an unrelated side quest? Well, the first 2 lines tell us that the singer is on shrooms, and this song may or may not be a hallucination. Or it's a dog the whole time, and the dog is on mushrooms. Either way. On top of being a pleasant acoustic jam with some sprightly horn sections, we get a deeper exploration of spirituality. It talks of heaven and hell, whether we go up high or whether we die down there. Using a dog's carefree nature to explore questions of morality is clever. To summarize, a kind of positive nihilism that recognizes our inability to fully understand our own deaths. So why not live to live? Our lives are ours to make. There are no gods to check our homework. All right, we're on the last 3 tracks of the album, and all of them are something else. Let me take a moment to mention our sponsors. Nobody! I receive no institutional support in the creation of these videos. They get destroyed by the YouTube algorithm and they make about $0 in terms of views. Patreon does, though. Go there. Give me $1 a month in exchange for a bunch of unreleased music, concert footage, streams, more. Heck, you could have been watching me make this right now, as I am talking. At the moment, I am on YouTube streaming this work. You can see all my outtakes, all the fucks that do not end up in this video. Fuck, that was a sample. Going to the movies, going to the mountains. I don't want mountains, man. I don't want to diddle it. Everybody does it. I don't care. Jesus, this album is so balanced. For every tuneful sing-along segment, there's some mosh section or complex rhythmic bit. How can you not like this stuff? Nothing overstays its welcome, and if anything, the sheer amount of stuff packed into every track is impressive. Multiple listens are rewarded as you pick out a new synth line or some crazy tambourine. This is a 5-minute long big boy, much like Phantom Below. It has a ton of different parts, and at face value, it should make it like a total whiplash mess, but I don't know. I think it jives pretty well. It's like looking at those zero nails Japanese woodwork things. How's it all fit together? Looks pretty cool. How do you do that? How do you make, what is that? How do you even, I don't know. How do you even make it? Great slam transitions of music history. Songs, like YouTube videos, can have jump cuts, slam transitions. And no, I'm not saying that these are the same kind of slam. Actually, they're kind of opposites. Here's a Mr. Bungle song that articulates what I like about him so much. Merry Go Bye Bye does this.
And I'll be right there by your side. A hit production of your merry-go.
And here's Captain Awkward at 2 minutes 44 seconds.
So high now from phantoms down below. You think you're helpless and alone, but I'll stay a while.
Contrast is a thing, and used sparingly, this kind of shit sure jolts your audience awake. It makes me feel something, alright? It's also not conducive to making a top 40 hit, is what I would be saying if Come On Eileen wasn't already a thing. to write a If you want to get a bar screaming, at least in the UK, put this song on.
Come on, Harry.
It has a false ending that leads to a bit that starts slow, gets faster and faster, and then it's called an accelerando if you're gay. Guess what happens after Moron Police's slam and Captain Awkward? After the slam, after slamming, we get this huge accelerando. Modern music, recorded digitally, uses metronomes extensively. It's so easy to flip on your software's integrated click track, and it's easier for DJs to mix tracks with consistent beats per minute, consistent BPMs. That makes accelerandos powerful. I put one of my songs, Squirrels Built My House, and it objectively kicks ass. Fight me in the comments. These are basic songwriting and composition tools, and using them well not only makes the music more emotionally impactful to the listener, but in this case, does the heavy lifting when it comes to theme and meaning. Oh, I swear. God, come on, Alina, such a badass song. Lyrically, we're getting less and less literal than the first half of the album. Rather than examining this song in a vacuum, I want to see how it fits into what the earlier songs set up, where The Phantom Below and The Invisible King are grand sweeps, talking about drone bombings and soldiers sent into the grinder of imperialism. Captain Awkward is much more personal and reflective of what the people involved in the album's war are thinking and feeling. This is the part of the cycle where the atrocities have piled up. The veneer of spreading freedom or whatever has fallen away, and we start examining where to go from here. The slam, as I keep bringing up, so hide now from phantoms down below, is a turning point. Things get still. The last words before it are literally, I don't care. What do you make of these lyrics?
Oh, I did that entire take and I didn't change hats anytime. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna redo it because I'm a professional. Mommy, am I a professional?
So hide now from phantoms down below. You think you're helpless and alone, but I'll stay a while. But you feel frozen, your heart has turned to stone. As you ride the undertow, I'll see you home. And leave me to shadow up the free. We were leaving, but we started to see. You take your heart and then you'll understand. And leave me to father unto me. We were leaving, but we started to see. You take your heart and then you'll understand. It's a markedly sympathetic voice. It's the most hopeful poetry we've got thus far. And this bit of comfort in the middle of pain and chaos. Is it external? Solidarity and connections starting to build? Is it internal? A personal change being sparked? I'm not sure. As you ride the undertow indicates that they're going through some shit. Then we end with a clean electric introduction of a theme from our next song. The Undersea. We get a county bit at the start. Stray thought. When doing mixed meter, aka like weird time signatures, how one personally thinks about it is kind of subjective. Like, is it 4/4, 8/8, 2/2? What's the difference in those? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2. What is the real difference in feel between those? I think of this song like this. So for frickin' Undersea, you're not sitting there going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. Like they're not. No. You just feel that shit.
Yeah, that's how it was made. I don't think it was exactly like that when I made it. I think I purposely added like one or subtracted one at some point here and there just because I wanted to shake it up. But I counted it out afterwards, and I remember we had to count that part, me and the drummer, just so he'd get it in, because otherwise it was just, but now it just, we don't count it at all. It's just, that's how the riff is, so it feels very natural. You don't have to think about it.
Already we're unsettled. Then we slide into another inverted chord. Love those leading tones in the bass, but we're just in a nice 4/4. We're talking about no more tears. And soon enough, we're in the middle of a nice stable chorus, which is the same chords as the county bit from before, but like 4 beats each. This might be genius. Like, take a chord progression that's a nice even 4 chords, then muck up the timing, and suddenly it's like extra spicy 4 chords. The chorus flows directly into the county bit again, drawing attention to this. Like, it's really neat. It's some craftsmanship, right? Remember before when I said positive nihilism instead of nothing matters, so we might as well die? It's more nothing matters, so why wouldn't we do what we can to fill our lives with meaning and help others to do the same? The undersea is that mix of hope and resigned sadness that makes me cry on airplanes. You sing songs and then we die is quite a line. You have this one life, this one cycle through. What do you do with it? Singing songs isn't a bad option. No more thoughts of heaven and these gods that tell us lies. You sing songs and then we die. Sandra gives us his thesis statement on theology and how much power it should have over you. This is the rebuild of the cycle of war. All that's left is the post-mortem. Isn't it easy? Wind up and swing, baby. Yeah, this intro is killer. Balance. Starts with percussion, blasty guitars, adds synth, different synth, overdubbed Dragon Force guitars, development. Suddenly we're back to piano and vocals, just like our first song on the album, Hocus Pocus, although this time it adds acoustic guitar. Again, this album is a circle. Kick into pop rock good time song, while 10,000 dead in the end is the lyric. This is our second mention of burning bridges. The first being in The Dog Song. In this song, Moron Police is describing the Western imperialist state, the US/EU and all the other countries complicit in the treatment of the so-called Third World. Isn't it easy when nobody cares? They'll just nod their head in disapproval of your words. Isn't it easy to watch these bridges burn? Not long ago, the US drone striked? Whatever the past tense is, they drone struck an Afghani aid worker and his family in their driveway. The imperialist West commits crimes all the time on a near constant basis. I interpret the bridges being burned to be the bridges of goodwill and human cooperation between humans who live on one piece of land and humans that live on another. Isn't it easy to watch these bridges burn when the world's got nothing against you? And I don't mean emotionally, like in a no hard feelings sense. The global South has nothing against the ruling imperialist state in terms of recourse. There's nothing they can do. Do not fear my circuitry. It was you who made me slave. We see the treatment of anyone who goes against power. They get freedomed. Some musical gushing. Oh look, they even had time to stick the B section of Super Mario Bros. In here. The breakdown starting just before the 3-minute mark is so many kinds of good. I'm not usually a fan of extended instrumentals in prog music because, well, a lot of bands use them as an excuse to extend their song by 4 minutes, like over the same repeated musical ideas or some meandering solo. Nope! Moron Police uses breakdowns as an excuse to kick your ears' asses for a bit. Isn't it easy when the world's got nothing against you? Isn't it harder when it seems like nobody cares? They'll just nod their heads in disapproval of your words. Isn't it easy to watch these bridges burn? so our story ends as it began, by waking gods to see them fall. But most of all, we found ourselves in hearts of stone and going home, yeah. The last lyrics of this album are hugely important, and while pessimistic within the context of the album since the cycle is starting again, we know what the solution is. Breaking the cycle. This is about the same cycle of violence from Beware the Blue Skies. Remember the 14-year-old learning to fly? Well, maybe this last bit is talking about retaliation, like destabilizing a foreign nation to extract their resources creates people who want to retaliate. You know, on account of you robbing them. So maybe what's going home is a drone being sent back to the US, making this a cautionary song. Like, if you war long enough, it stops affecting other people and starts affecting you. Isn't It Easy is the summation of the anti-war, anti-imperialist message of the rest of the album. Regardless of warning, in spite of the patterns, the violent cycle that is endless growth under capitalism, for now, continues. 10,000 dead in the end. We tried to warn you, but the beast just had to be fed. The end of this song rolls into the start of the first song, Hocus Pocus, and again, it's nothing groundbreaking. Anyone can do this, but the concluding cadence of Hocus Pocus is the same as Isn't It Easy? This is extremely effective at creating the emotional through line that makes A Boat on a Sea a great album, rather than just a series of cool songs. If you listen to this album on repeat, or even just track 8 into track 1, like you have this piano fade out starting the first theme from Phantom Below, which kicks directly into Hocus Pocus, which is a piano song. Like I recommend starting track 1 directly after track 8. It feels so good, and before you know it, you're back at track 8. Do it again. Holy shit, people. So far, I've talked about this album in pieces, but I want to end our time with A Boat on the Sea, examining it as a whole. What pictures do these broad strokes form? This is merely my interpretation, but I think it's a pretty good one, and if you disagree, tell me in the comments. Without further ado, allow me to present you with a Marxist reading of Moron Police's third album, A Boat on the Sea. A Boat on the Sea. A Boat on the Sea is an anti-imperialist album. We open with a thesis statement. Fantastic imagery of gods and a city of the sun are brought to Earth with the mention of B-52s and acknowledgement of the use of military force to privatize and liquefy, or to put simply, to forcibly extract value from all who can't resist. In Phantom Below, these themes are developed. We have either a literal machine or a metaphorical one who is being used by some superior power, one that does not know or care about them beyond their use as a cog. Do you not know me? This song draws class distinction. All are not equal in the war machine. Most are replaceable workers, and the very, very few benefit. The workers are used as cannon fodder in the brutal pursuit of power, resources, and influence. Invisible King makes this point from the perspective of the disposable grunt soldier. In the US, home of the world's biggest military, an enormous portion of service members are recruited with promises of economic security. Recruitment officers love to target poor kids in high school. Tell them it'll pay for their college, or their rent, or their mom's bills, whatever. Like the song says, they're getting paid for getting laid straight into the ground. The US military is voluntary, while being the only escape route from poverty for so many. Beware the Blue Skies speaks from the side of the countries having freedom thrust upon them. The horrors of war make new generations of fighters. Getting hell rained upon you tends to lead to some kind of retaliation. So the cycle continues in a very one-sided manner. The last section of the song brings home the imperialist element. It's easy to point to the US as the sole perpetrator of these kinds of crimes, as some singular bully to be reformed. Yet, how many other countries play support roles? How many countries are enriched only by making the poorest of the poor even more miserable? So you have one side fighting because their communities have been destroyed and their development forcibly halted so that a foreign owning class can get better contracts with the local owning class. And we have the other side fighting because, well, that's how poor people from the imperial core get a job, healthcare, affordable education. By lethally enforcing the will of whatever inhuman corporation decides that it wants a thing. This album could be about the US intervention in South Central America. It could be about the banana republics of the Dole Corporation. It could be about Vietnam, or Iraq, or Yemen, or Somalia, or Palestine. As I am typing this, the poor countries of the world are being kept intentionally poor so they stay easy to exploit. Imperialism isn't just when war happens, it's powerful countries forcing the subservience of weak countries to maintain the owning class. Isn't it easy when the world's got nothing against you? Isn't it harder when it seems like nobody cares? They'll just nod their heads in disapproval of your words. Isn't it easy to watch these bridges burn? The only way out of this cycle is to break it, to form international connections based on mutual benefit, trust, and the goal of developing societies that are beneficial to the people living in them. Yes, this also requires the overthrowing of each country's individual owning class, since the unity of working people goes so strongly against their collective interest. The challenges we face as a species are solvable only through the cooperation between towns, cities, countries, continents. That cooperation will never be born from a boot grinding 99% of the world into dust to increase the market share by 0.01% or whatever. The final roar you get in track 8 is a rubato, "I am lost without you," from Phantom Below. But rather than ending in a minor 4, an unstable chord, the instruments play that melody as it lands on an emphatic 1 chord, along with a splash ending. A very stable, the most stable chord you can have in a it is the tonal center. It goes from having a minor 4, which is a bit weird within a major song. Like, that has to be a borrowed chord. The 4 is naturally major in a major keyed song.
For the sake of simplifying this, I'm going to put both of these songs in A major, even though the repetition of this is in a different key. A major has 3 sharps, right? We got A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So when I say the 4 chord in major keys is naturally major, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's D. If you spell a D chord using A major, you would have an F sharp in there, making it a D major. So it is naturally major, the 4 chord. To make it minor, you have to get rid of that F sharp. You have to find an F natural, and there is no F natural in A major, so you have to borrow it from A minor, for example. A minor is A, B, C, D, E, F natural, G, A, and you can make a D minor out of those notes.
And it moves it to end on the 1. The foundation of that song, going from instability, a borrowed chord from a different key, to the most stable thing you can have in a major keyed song, major 1. In the Phantom Below, the you that the speaker is lost without is their owner. So many people think that the owning class is needed for their leadership, that the world needs billionaires because their money is proof enough of their brilliance. We would surely be lost without them, right? I want to be very optimistic and say that the music for I Am Lost Without You being repeated in such a different harmonic context symbolizes a shift. Like, remember earlier when I was lost without you? That is no longer the case. I never needed you at all, and in fact, you've been holding me back. I'm going home. By the way, my darker alternate reading for the I'm going home section at the end of Isn't It Easy is that the thing going home is a weapon being directed back at the U.S. Again, continuing the cycle. Is my reading correct? This is art, and art is meant to be interpreted. I want you to listen through Moron Police and do some interpreting of your own. Maybe you'll get a completely different impression, and then you can tell me about it. What I know for sure is that music with this level of craft and care hits me and rewards me for the time I spend with it. There are new layers to dig through with each listen. Rich compositions with rich poetry ranging from funny to tragic. And if you think this book report stuff is for nerds, just sit back and let the beautiful butt rock wash over you. Time for closing thoughts and to close the loop that is this long-ass video. Moron Police is an independent band without institutional backing, and while many of the instruments were recorded in studio rather than at home, I want to emphasize the do-it-yourself nature of these albums. While it didn't require a room-sized recording rig like Les Paul back in the day, the same spirit of music making and overcoming obstacles on their way to the sound they're looking for is present in every measure. For Les Paul, it was a shattered elbow. For Moron Police, it's trying to balance writing and recording an album with everyone's day jobs and traveling across the massive country that is Norway to actually record together. Remember the orchestral opening to The Propaganda Machine, their very first album? What was it like? We were just talking about studio things and, home studio without a label organizing the things for you, doing all the logistics yourself, trying to do it as cheaply as possible. What was it like getting that orchestra on track one? Like, what was that process?
That's a bit strange. There was the biggest town next to us, Kristiansand, which is sort of like a proper town. They had an orchestra, and they still have it, and they were doing this thing where local bands from the area could perform 3 songs with the orchestra for this big event. So we were like 6 bands. One of the bands was Rendezvous Point, cool. Which has Bod Kolstad, the drummer from Leprous. He wasn't the drummer in Leprous then. But yeah, so it was a really cool thing. So we played Charlie's Enormous Mouth, Teabag Your Grandma, and Who's That Chicken, maybe? I don't know. So, but it was recorded, but it was recorded pretty crappily because it was a new venue and they hadn't really got everything up and running. But so I managed to like get the recording and get it cleared so we could use it, which was not easy apparently. But we did have a manager at the time who had some pull.
It's like a little bit of guerrilla album craft there, and I respect it. Orchestras are insanely expensive, like per hour, which makes sense because I mean, how many people are required to make like an orchestra? At least 30 or 40, and if you pay 30 people to work for 1 hour, like you see what I'm getting at here. Like, look at these guys. Go listen to their music. Stream it somewhere that gives them money. Buy it off their websites. moronpolice.no for Norway. moronpolice.no. I've spent 2 years now listening through these 3 albums and I want more. Heck, now that I finally got this video out, I can move on to their new EP, which came out a year ago. Well, holy crap, everybody. We finally did it. I want to say this has only taken 1 year from conception to completion, but really it's almost 2. It's been almost 2 full years I'm working on this video, and not like 8 hours a day working on it. That's why it's taken so long. Even though I now technically work fewer hours of like official work every week, it seems to take more and more of my time. Like I have more prep, I have more just general responsibilities and logistics and things to take care of in my life. So This has been a slow-going process, but I am very happy with the results. I cannot believe that I have now created a piece of content that is almost as long as a feature film. This thing's an hour and 20 minutes long. I did not intend for it to be that. I thought this was going to be another quick, 10 to 20 minute, man, I like this band, booba band, and then we'd all move on with our lives. But here we are. You've made it to the end. You are one of the maybe 200 people who will ever witness this video. It might have 400 views, but I assume everyone watches it twice because it's so damn compelling. That's coffee, but it's got a lot of Bushmills in it. So, if you want to hear my full interview with Sandre the Giant, I tried so hard to pronounce his name, and I'm so disappointed that I did not succeed. You'll just be French in my imagination until the end of time. Sandre. Dinner at Sandre. Sandra, if you are watching this, I love your music very much. You give your whole band my props. I mean, this is the only way I know how to express my love is by making an hour and 20-minute freaking essay about the stuff you wrote and analyzing it, and hopefully it doesn't just make you uncomfortable. If you want to see that full interview, you're going to look up my podcast. Fulfilling all white guy stereotypes, I do have a podcast. It is called Last Minute Politics, and Sandra is on episode 25. That's episode number 25. Caution, it's a very political show, and if you don't want to hear about politics, just listen to that episode, and then don't listen to any others, and listen only to parts of that one, because it's definitely a bit politics also. My music can be found, frickin' just Google Pepper Coyote. I'm on everything, on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon MP3. Does Google Play still exist? YouTube Music. Peppercoyote.bandcamp.com is the website where you buy stuff directly from me. Well, kind of directly from me. They still gonna skim off the top a little bit for both Bandcamp and PayPal because they need their fees. You know, they put a lot into my music, which is why they need to about 10 to 14% of the money. If you saw any advertisements on this video or any mid-roll ads, they don't go to me. It's probably because something in this was copyright claimed, and then they're gonna stick ads on it on their own behalf, not on my behalf. I don't get the money. I put no ads on my YouTube stuff. I don't make videos very frequently because, as you can see, it takes me 2 years to get through any of these. And the way that I pay my bills is through a combination of streaming royalties. So please listen to me on stream. Direct sales of my CDs and albums, and my patrons. If you want to join me on patreon.com/peppercoyote, you could be in this long list of people. Hopefully it's long. That'll be embarrassing. Let's look this up. I'll be rapid firing these, and if I mess up your name, I did it on purpose. It was not just that I cannot read. We got a very, very bear Avery. What's going on? Benny, Blue Alien Fox, Bryant Holmes, Buddha. It's nice meeting you the other month. Callie Otter, Dragor, Glosson, H3 or Hentaiphilia. the fox with a name that makes you think they're a troll when they jump into your Twitch chat, but no, they're cool. They're chill people. We got Coda Masters, Martin RJ, Matthew B, Omega Lacona, Petrov Neutrino, one of my longest time peeps. I was going to say bros, but I'm only mostly sure that would be appropriate. Ruth, Rhizote, Werewolf Detective Paw. What's up, Eli? Alexander Workman, Angus, Beaton. We got Fancy Fox, Brandon. Oh, Leonardo Lynx, hey, Kristen McKenzie. I'll just make nondescript noises because, I don't. Quick, yell their social security number while everyone's looking. But you know who you are, and you're a real one. Mama T, Michael Jadow, Muse the Husky, Omega, I'm very sorry. Just leave it at that. Philip Maddox, The Dragget Show, Tim Coffee, Timid Tanuki, Uncle Carré, as I think it is pronounced. Cage, thanks Cage. As they call you in Mexico. Whoopi, Brain Freeze Pup, Brett, what? A normal just person name? Illegal. Celeste, Cosmic, Chunks Fox, Cosmo Shep, Fox Amor, Galois, meaning the deer, or I should call you Galois, that'd be funnier. Gavin Von Blackmuzzle, Green Drag, Hollid, KG Kroikshank. I did my best. Kyle Fox, Laptev Tashet, Maurice Coyote. Coyotes are always welcome in my house. I should rephrase that. Like every neighborhood coyote. We're coming in, man. Have food. Mel Schlemming, Nether Lynx, Randall Saber, Rav, Skiggles, Scurro, Shane M, Seabeer Lupus. I was ready to Cyber Lupus. I think it's Seabeer, though. Soft Water, Sully, Sven Tegatov. That's a funny name. I got distracted. Vannon, Wild Card, Wugbug, Alex the Foxcoon, Angus Cause, Binary Fox, Blue Swag, Cactus Bat, Selavar, Cracker. Can't say that on Twitch. Daniel, I'm gonna get myself taken off YouTube. Also, Daniel DeHart, Danji Draconid, Dark Doggo, Dead Peacat, Delta Whiskey, Dry Scale, Eric Mooney, Ethan Staghorn, Grey Muzzle Geekery, I think that's a podcast, Indigo, Jack Kagan, Java Foxyote, Christofferson, Leet, Majira Strawberry, Margaret Bumby, Misfit, that's what I do when I'm not confident, I just start singing, Misfit Raider, Nico Fox, Niox, Possum Pants, do you pronounce the O in opossum? Some people say opossum, and I just say possum, like is the O silent? I feel weird saying opossum. I think that's the American one, though. They're opossums if they're here, but they're possums if they're European, I don't know. Paul again. I have two Pauls. What's up, other Paul? Razor Baraball, Rhythm Bastard, Rick Whitechest, Rin LaFox, Sean Page, Shiru 14, Shugnussi SKG, and on my final page, Southpaws, Swift Paw, Tau Switchblade, Tau, yeah, that's probably right. Hypnotic Beast, Lonely Shep, Toothpaste the Hyena, Trevor Riles, Tuca, Tyler Furlong, and Yariku. Thank you so much for being a patron. If you want to join this list of people, and in 5,000 more years when I make another little essay, a medium-sized essay, I can't even say this like that long anymore. There's people on YouTube making 6-hour iCarly reviews, and I won't. It's not that I won't watch them because I hate iCarly. I don't. 6 hours. Give me 2 hours. Make me an hour and a half long thing about, I don't know, NFTs or the judicial system, and I'll totally watch that. Oh, well. Frickin' A. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I had no idea where that'll be. Listen to my music. Listen to Moron Police's music. Just listen to music. Goodbye.